Into the future, previewing this coming weekend, UFC Fight Night, Font versus Vera. I actually love this main event that's coming up, boys. Before we preview the main event, Rob Font versus Marlon Chito Vera, we're going to talk about a few other fights, and we're going to throw them into our quasi-lightning round. We're going to call it Quick Picks. Before we get into that, are there any fights that you guys want to highlight or fighters that you want to shout out on this card for our listeners, our viewers?
I'll just note very quickly there are two debutantes worth keeping an eye on. Johan Lainez in the welterweight division and Tatsuro Taira in the flyweight division are both guys coming in with some hype, making their debuts, so we will see what they bring to the cage.
Okay. UFC Fight Night. Let's see, Font. 1 second, let me just pull up this whole card. Mr. Robert Font. What is next for him? Here we go. Okay. Quick picks, boys. So a phrase or two, a sentence or two. Let us start in the heavyweight division. This fight is going down on the prelims. Alexander Romanov versus Chase Sherman. Mark, why don't you take this one first?
Yeah, Romanov is a minus 2,000 favorite. If Jake Collier can dominate Trey Sherman on the mat, I don't even want to think about what Romanov is going to do to him. Give me Romanov by round one sub. It could also be ground and pound. It's probably going to be up to him, but I'll guess sub.
Okay, Omar?
So I just did me a quick Google, not to kill the mojo, but it seems like Romanov versus Chase Sherman has been scratched from UFC Vegas.
Oh, no.
Wait, scratched again? Or are you looking at when it got scratched last week?
This is
what do you mean?
3 days ago. Did it get moved back to this one?
It was on last week's card, and it got bumped back to this card.
It doesn't
no, dude, it's still there.
It's still there. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think
crisis averted.
I think we're good.
I messed with the mojo a little bit. That was my bad.
No worries. Should we move on?
Yeah, so Romanov versus Sherman. Sherman's a heavy hitter, man. If it was up to me, I think at this point I'm probably going to go with Sherman. Let's go Sherman by KO round 2.
Wow. Okay, moving on into the opening fight of the main card in the middleweight division. Krzysztof Jotko takes on Gerald Mearshart. I can never say his name. Fucking Mearshart.
Correct.
Thank you.
That's a heavy one for me too.
Okay, Omar, take this one first. Jotko versus Mearshart.
This is a super interesting fight, man. Jocko's got a much better stand-up style than Mearshart does, but Mearshart is very interesting on the ground, kind of like a smaller version of Paul Craig, but not necessarily as efficient. But he does have the opportunities on the ground. He definitely makes some opportunities on the ground if he can get it there. Jocko seems to be a little bit smarter in that department, and he may not be able to. So I want to pick Mearshart. I like Mearshart better, but I think Jocko gets this done by decision.
Mark, what's your take? Give us your quick pick.
Jotko has good takedown D, and he throws heat, so Mearshart will be in danger, but I love the way Mearshart has looked as of late. He's looking better on the feet. I was actually really impressed with him there against Muradov in his last fight, and I think he can stay in this as long as he needs to find us up, and I think he'll eventually do it. I'll say Mearshart by round 2 submission.
Wow, I like Jotko in this fight. I think he is a better fighter. I'm going to go Jotko by submission himself. I'm going to go round 3.
Whoa.
2 bold picks in a row. One from Omar, one from you.
Okay, moving on. In the featherweight division, Darren the Damage Elkins. God, love this guy. Takes on Tristan Connolly. Mark, sticking with you. What is your quick pick?
I think Connolly's cardio, his wrestling and grappling ability are all things that are going to make him hard to beat for Elkins. Remember, he's a guy that beat Michel Pereira up at welterweight, 2 divisions up. And then he took a round off Pat Sabatini in a loss in his last fight, who's looked otherwise untouchable. So he's got the skills, and I'm going to go with Connolly as the dog here to win a unanimous decision.
Nice. Omar, give us your quick pick.
Yeah, I'm going to mirror what Mark said, but I'm just going to simply caveat that every time I feel like we pick against Darren Elkins ends up getting his ass kicked and then coming back to kick the other guy's ass and win. So while I am going with Connolly in this fight, I think we're all fully aware that Darren Elkins very well might edge out a win here. Just going to put that in the ether.
Okay.
That's fair.
Okay, moving on in the lightweight division, Jared Gordon takes on Grant Dawson. Omar, sticking with you, give us your quick pick.
Yeah, what a great fight this one is.
Yeah, it is.
Every time I think about this fight, I really think that this is Jared Gordon's fight to win. I think he's just a little bit more well-rounded overall. Definitely his ground game. I'm going to go with Jared Gordon by third round submission.
Okay, Mark, quick pick.
I have the opposite take. I don't know what it is that Jared Gordon does that well. He honestly has never wowed me. We've seen that it's possible to control him in the past, and I think that Grant Dawson has the skills to do exactly that. I know his round 3 against Rick Glenn wasn't a great look in his last fight, but I think the talent is there. He's got a 4-inch reach advantage on Gordon, and I just think he's technically the better fighter. I will say Grant Dawson by a clear UD.
Okay. I'm going to roll with my man, the New Yorker, Jared Gordon, Flash Gordon.
Jared Gordon, yeah.
Okay, moving on. You son of a bitch. Quick picks. Okay. What division is this? This is the featherweight division. Andre Touchy-Feely versus, how do you say this guy's name? Joanderson Brito. Okay, Mark, take it first. Quick pick.
I don't understand why this is who Andre Feely is fighting. Like, if he won his debut, it'd be one thing, but he didn't. He lost his debut and somehow gets Andre Feely. And he lost to Bill Algeo, who is Andre Feely's kind of like the better version of Bill Algeo. So I don't get the matchmaking. Brito is certainly dangerous, but we don't have any reason to be doubting Andre Feely right now. He's been looking good, and I think he's earned enough respect to not be picked against here. So I'm going to pick him. I will say Feely by round 2 TKO.
Okay. Omar, Feely versus Brito. What's your quick pick?
Yeah, I think this is probably the best Feely that we've seen in quite some time. Definitely a lot more confident. Like he's, and the people he's been training with over there at Alpha Male are more than elite at this point. Yeah, I'm going to go with Andre Feely. I will do first round KO. Make things spicy.
Okay. I will also be taking Mr. Andre Feely. I'm going to say TKO in the second round, to be specific. Okay, moving on into the co-main event of this fight night. In the heavyweight division, Andre the Pitbull Arlovsky takes on Jake Collier. Omar, give us your quick pick first.
So I can totally see this fight being Andre Arlovsky jabbing his way through the entire fight from the outside for 3 rounds. I just don't believe that if Jake gets hit, that he'll completely crumble. I feel like if Andre Arlovsky gets hit one good time, he goes right down to his knees, and that's the end of that fight. So I'm gonna go with the underdog on this one. Arlovsky's been looking good. He's been looking like somebody who knows how to win a fight. But I'm gonna go with Jake Collier, and I'm gonna go by second round KO.
Mark, what's your pick?
That would be sad. Collier has looked legitimately interesting since his move back up to heavyweight, and that is giving me pause. But Arlovsky is still a large step up from the guys Collier's been fighting, and he's been so consistent, so solid. He has turned back anyone who's not an elite heavyweight, and I don't think Collier is that. So, one of these days it's probably going to stop happening for Arlovsky, but I'll take Arlovsky by UD.
I will join you there, Mark, in the land of Andre Arlovsky by unanimous decision over Jake Collier. Okay, quick picks are over. Let's get into this main event in the bantamweight division, a fight that's going down, a fight of consequence in the bantamweight division. In the already stacked bantamweight division, we have Marlon Chito Vera Moving on up into the upper echelon of bantamweight, taking on Mr. Rob Font. Gentlemen, what a fight.
Yeah.
Let's get into this. Mark, why don't you go first? Give us your take on Font taking on Chito Vera.
All right, so this is a great fight. Odds are very close. Font is a slight favorite last I checked at minus 135. Marlon Vera is a plus 110 dog. Really such a great fight. It's a shame it's kind of not getting much buzz being on a card that's a little lesser. But I love this fight. I'm kind of torn on it. It's definitely a hard one to pick, as the odds suggest. I could talk myself into going either way, but if you guys remember, in Rob Font's last fight, I hammered home my reasoning of why I thought he would lose to Jose Aldo, and it completely ended up playing out. And that reasoning was that in Rob Font's whole run up bantamweight, he was fighting guys who were distinctly smaller than him. And Jose Aldo did not fit that bill. He's not a tiny bantamweight. He was a similar height and reach to Rob Font. And because of that, I thought that Rob Font's jab wasn't going to be close to being the same weapon that we had seen it as in the past, and that ended up absolutely being the case. And Aldo was able to put it on him because of that. And Marlon Vera is 1 inch taller than Jose Aldo. He's got an extra half inch of a reach, and he might even be bigger than Aldo in terms of frame. Marlon Vera is a big bantamweight. Jose Aldo is better than Marlon Vera, as we saw when he beat him recently, but I still think Vera is good enough to make that size matter. He's going to keep a crazy pace on Font all fight. He's going to be burying kick after kick into Font's calves. And yes, when he's doing that, I'm sure he'll have to eat some jabs because he's going to be closing the distance himself, but he can take a shot. He doesn't get rattled in there. Plus, I'm not entirely sure what to make of Font's power after seeing how many shots Cody Garbrandt took from him. I think the wrestling is fairly even, and that Vera is probably the better grappler and the guy who's more of a threat to finish with a submission. So I can see it going either way, but I just think when Font is not able to control a fight with his jab, he's not the same guy, and I don't think he's going to be able to do that here. So I'm going to go with Marlon Vera. I think his pressure is going to be a lot for Font to handle, and I think he could find a way to get him out of there, either just like landing something big out of the blue and pouncing, or even latching onto something in a scramble. I could see that, but I will say we make it to the cards and that Vera takes it there. But give me Marlon Vera UD.
Okay. Omar, give us your take. What are your thoughts on Chito Vera moving up and taking on Rob Font?
So this one's a little difficult for me on a personal level because Rob Font has visited the gym that I train at and has held seminars and things like that.
Really? Wow.
But like Chito Vera is my boy.
Yeah,
He's like been my boy from like jump. So I can't really pick against Chito Vera. So I'm not going to. And I kind of have to echo some of the points that Mark made, especially about the jab, because using the Jose Aldo fight as an example, he's right. The jab wasn't as effective as it normally is. He's able to use that jab to create distance, to stop people from coming forward. And his jab has a sting to it too. It pops people back. But people who are, Jose has a very tight tie style that he's been using his entire career. His head is down, his arms are in, and the reality is that a lot of those punches he can kind of take. Chito Vera fights very similarly with that kind of tight Muay Thai stand-up style. Not to mention, I don't know how long he's been working with Perillo, but he's working with Perillo. I have high confidence in Perillo's ability to get the best out of his fighters, especially when you're trying to level up some version of their game. You got people on that team like Luke Rockhold, Bisping at the time, who when he was fighting, that was the guy that he was fighting with. So Perillo adapted Bisping to fight with one eye for the second half of his career. So you bet your ass I believe in Perillo's ability to do something with Chito Vera with all the God's gifts that Chito has. So I do think Chito's going to end up winning this fight. I think he will finish the fight, which I think is a very difficult thing to do to Rob Font, and I think that should be made clear.
Agree.
Rob Font is not an easy person to put out. But I do
That's why
think
I was planning to go finish, and I had that exact thought you just said, and I was like, I don't think I can do it.
yeah. Yeah, and it's a very difficult decision, but I will say that I think Chito can get it done. Something about Chito gives me next level vibes recently, and I think he is going to step up to that next echelon of fighter in this division at this point. So I'm going to go with fourth round TKO.
Oh, you're going TKO.
I'm
Looking
so
at-
curious if we're going to be unanimous on such a close fight.
Looking at Rob Font's record, he has never been knocked out
Yeah,
or TKO'd. He has been submitted. He only has one submission loss. That being said, I completely agree with you, Omar, that I just feel like Marlon Vera is on the rise and he is on some next level shit right now.
Wow, I can't believe we're all in there.
let's fucking go.
I'm a Cheeto guy too, man. I'm a big
Yeah,
time
me too.
Cheeto guy.
Me too.
And I love his skill set. I love the way he fights. I'm also somewhat of a believer in the law of averages. So I think that he is going to TKO Rob Font, and I'm going to say in the third round. And there you have it. There you have it.
Love it.
Also,